Ever since returning to Roblox, I've been on a very special quest. A quest to find the absolute silliest Roblox game. So I created this, the Roblox Silly Scale. I've cataloged several different games since my return, each of them having been weighed on the scale, and what I found has truly shocked me. The scale works on a range from :smile to :3, with each level getting sillier and more unhinged than the last. For example, Blocktails only really reaches the upper parts of level 1, whereas fighting reaches all the way to a level 3. However, there is only one game that I've come across that has broken into the ludicrous level 4 of the Silly Scale. A game so wacky, so downright goofy, that I myself even began to feel its effects. An almost infectious level of silliness that has caused me to basically make this entire video. And that game is called Regretevator. Created by a dev team / cult known as the Axolotl Sun, Regretevator is a game that's actually decently hard to put into words. So instead of explaining it directly, let me do the YouTuber thing and explain the game that it's directly based off instead, the normal elevator. Created in 2015, its gameplay loop was extremely simple yet captivating. An endlessly moving elevator that stops at various floors, each with a unique, often weird scenario for the inhabitants of the elevator to experience. While some floors would just be entirely based off of, now extremely dead, memes, others would be their own completely original minigames. It was a game that was consistently on the front page of Roblox, even being featured in some events, and now is considered a classic Roblox game. Now, when I said that the memes were extrememely dead, I meant it. Like, we're talking like 2016 to 2018 memes here. Like, it's pretty rough.
These kids are learning the correct timeline of memes.
Now, in my pressure video, I said that that game is near perfect execution of the Doors formula. Well, I have some good news that will surprise absolutely no one if they've been paying attention. Regretevator is the perfect version of the normal elevator. There is a staggering amount of content in this game, far more than the normal elevator ever had to provide, to the point where I've played over 100 different floors, right? And I'm still running into scenarios that I've never seen before. But you know what is something that I know for a fact you've seen before? This message to subscribe to this channel. As of writing this, we just hit 35,000 subscribers, and I need your help to keep that momentum going. These videos take a lot of time and energy to make, and because subscribing is completely free, it's a win-win situation for both me and you. So if you want to see more videos like these, hit that little button down there, and let's hit 50,000 subs before Halloween. I realized at this point that I was going to need some help if I wanted to make this video. I knew that the wackiness was far too much for one man to handle, so I decided to get answers the old-fashioned way, by getting them straight from the horse's mouth. Or fish, shark, dog thing.
Hey, what's up?
I would imagine this is very heavily based off of the normal elevator.
Surprisingly, actually, okay, this is an interesting story. Yes and no. Actually, originally, this was just a hangout game. You know those like hangout games where it's like Vibe Airplane? It was just that, except it was an elevator. There were no floors, you didn't go anywhere, you sat in an elevator and you listened to Bossa Nova. It was fun, I liked it, but a lot of people, man, people were not feeling it. And so people, when they were looking at games I was making, they were expecting a game. So when it was like a hangout, and you know, with the connotation of, oh, it's an elevator game, people thought the game was broken or bugged because it just like...
Oh, because it didn't go anywhere?
Never opened. Yeah, exactly.
To cover every single floor in this game would make this video far longer than it already is, so I'm just going to highlight some of my favorites. Splitsville is a pretty fun obby based off of Wipeout. The Red Ball Temple is actually pretty difficult. The Roblox Raceway only looks like it's poorly scripted. The Minefield is funny, albeit very annoying. The Slap Battles Rip is funnier and far less annoying. The Party House where a meteor shower happens is completely ridiculous, and this boss fight is very cool. Inside of the actual elevator itself, there's a shop where you can buy different gear. Also, before I forget, I don't know what it is with this game's insane addiction with the sad red ball, but I absolutely love it. It's literally everywhere in this game.
I have a knuckle sandwich with your name on it.
There is a staggering amount of sad red ball.
No, a ton. It was so messed up. What's the word? Okay. Fun Flooded Squishies. That is another floor. Originally, that wasn't like a green ball thing. Originally, that was red ball. But we were starting to get so many like red ball themed things that we're like, okay, we have to change up this build a little bit, but we can't just scrap it, right? So let's make it a green ball instead.
On top of Sad Red Ball, you can buy a butterfly knife to trick people around you into thinking you're playing CS. There's the aforementioned spray bottle that you can use to torture NPCs in the elevator. There's yellow. Yellow. Yellow? Yellow. Yellow?
Yellow.
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 Yeah, and there's plenty of healing items for when you take damage. But there's something extremely interesting about Regretevator that I want to bring up before we go deeper into the rest of this game. In both the normal elevator and Regretevator, characters would often join players inside of the elevator and go for a little ride. Now, in that game, these characters would just kind of sit there and not do anything. That didn't mean they weren't beloved, as who could possibly forget the icy yet confident composure of the Big Cheese, but they really just didn't do much at all. For me personally, I always thought that this was a huge missed opportunity. What makes characters interesting is, well, their character. And while you can put as many silly guys in your game as you want, a lack of dialogue or events or emotions make them as a whole a lot more bland. Regretevator solves this issue by doing just that, adding character to these characters. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that Regretevator is carried as much by its cast as it is by the gameplay. But there's a distinct choice that the developers of this game made that I think makes it one of the most complex games on Roblox. There are interactions between characters, and not just like one or two rare moments between characters, but every character that can enter the elevator.
The Regretevator would not at all be the same game it is without the characters. I think that's a great thing to have. The only thing about the NPCs and like the characters is the writing is crazy. There's so much. There's so much.
I think literally what did it for me is the first or second time I played the game, I went and looked at the credits, and I saw there were literally 6 writers, and I was like, wait, this game has 6 writers? Why does this game have 6 writers? And then the more I played it, the more I was like, it needs 6 writers.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, and we're bringing on more writers.
I bet, yeah.
I mentioned this in my video about the evolution of Roblox's art style, how by doing the math, we come to the conclusion that there are over 210 unique interactions between these characters alone. That's an insane amount of effort for a silly little Roblox game, and hopefully it's starting to make a bit more sense why they need 6 writers on their team. But here's the thing about that little nugget of information. I lied. There aren't 210 unique interactions between characters in Regretevator. The reason for that is, as told to me by the lead developer, Yuke, they try to hit a quota of at least 3 to 5 unique interactions with every character for every character. So instead of there being roughly 210 unique interactions between these characters, there are actually closer to 630. And that's on the low end, because 3 to 5 implies that there are some characters with more than 3 unique interactions with certain other characters. What's insane is that the thing about these interactions is that they aren't substanceless either. Regretevator actually has a lot of lore hidden within its extremely unserious presentation, and a lot of these dialogue lines add to that lore, some of which are actually quite intriguing to read, like this interaction between Folly and Party Noob that I captured on footage. But guess what? I lied again. Those interactions aren't the only interactions these characters have in Regretevator. There are also unique interactions with you, the player. This can be achieved in a multitude of different ways. One of my personal favorites is to spray them with water, causing them to get pissed off and yell at you. There's also a bouquet of roses that you can buy to shower them with praise and glory, netting you a different reaction. Nearly every character that can enter the elevator has this feature, and some of them actually have quite a lot of unique quips that they can say, which means there's actually closer to around 750 unique interactions throughout the entire game.
I was like thinking to myself, people talk on elevators. That's like something people do. I remember playing the normal elevator and they just like say quips to themselves like awkwardly. And I was like, why don't you talk to someone else on the elevator? No hate to the normal elevator. Again, I would like to state this because normal elevator, is awesome. And the creator of the normal elevator, also known as Now Do the Harlem Shake, they actually, when Regretevator was first like out and like growing as a game, it had like 15 players. Now Do the Harlem Shake played the game.
Really?
And had like checked it out. Yeah. I remember my friend is like, dude, Now Do the Harlem Shake is playing Regretevator. And I was like, no, you're joking, right?
And before we go any further into this game, I want to go over all of the main characters that can enter the elevator. So without further ado, here is Regretevator NPC rapid fire explanation time, go! Bive is a fake-ass detective/conspiracy theorist who is constantly obsessing on the weird and wacky actions of the elevator, cooks food with mold, and hates country music. Dr. Retro is a Pac-Man adjacent cat emoji thing who is one of the few elevator NPCs that can actually kill the player, despite being apparently a doctor who lost her medical license. Folly is a freaky-ass nightmare demon thing who likes to doom scroll r/atheism and post about climate change. No, sorry, okay, I made that part up.
Lady, supersized
But she is pretty evil. Despite being called Folly in the game, she doesn't actually have a name, appearing as a sort of dark omen in people's dreams. Several characters actually claim that they've seen Folly in their own dreams. Fish.
an emeronic freak.
Flesh Cousin, arguably one of the most creepy characters in the entire game, is a creature about as sentient as a bird or fish, barely being able to communicate, and even then only in garbled, weird non-English. Narpy, the fan-favorite alien cat with a freaking sweet design who is totally evil. Narpy likes to listen to death metal and watch Netflix when he's not out causing mischief. He also eats uranium, which is extremely based and narp-pilled. Oh, I wrote that in the script. Infected, aka Casper, looks like a regular Robloxian until you look at his face a little too closely. A wicked sick skater who likes 2000s culture and talks like he's trapped in a Newgrounds thread from 2006. He's also been infected with some kind of contagious virus, so you probably should not get too close. Germbo is an omnipresent being that exists in every single universe in Regretevator. He just kind of sits there. Lampert is a being from SCP-3008, aka the Infinite IKEA, or Rokia. Somehow he finds his way into the elevator and complains about germs. Lampert was apparently friends with Casper before he became infected, and if you plug his tail into a wall outlet, he lights up. He also likes meatballs. Mannequin_Mark is a mannequin made out of wood who also happens to be a talented construction worker. He's southern, likes cheddar jack cheese, and is a fan of Weird Al. Moselle is a very classy, upstanding citizen who makes a funny boing noise when she's talking. She likes one of two genres of music, screamo black metal and classical music. Also, because her father is literally Satan, she is the princess of hell. MR is a terrifying entity that is arguably one of the most dangerous in all of Regretevator. MR has killed before and will kill again. Described as quote-unquote not alive, yet being confronted often by Folly, who alludes to his more sinister origins. Apparently, MR was not always a weird rock face man. Party Noob is a noob who likes to party. Canonically, his name is Poob, which is honestly such a Giga Chad move that I'm almost at a loss for words. Almost. Poob has witnessed a cult sacrifice, yet didn't do anything about it. Doesn't know how to play Uno, and has someone out there who's actively trying to murder him. Pest's name is potentially a double entendre for party guest, but he looks a lot more evil than Poob. And actually, he hates Poob. Despite Poob's best attempts to befriend him, being part beetle means that Pest can lift objects 1,141 times his own body weight. Pilby's real name is Pilbert. They used to be a clown, but got fired. How do you even get fired from being a clown? Pilby can eat exactly one Whopper before passing out. Prototype is a goofy robot who doesn't even know what he's made for. Dummy, idiot, stupid. I am very upset. Reddy is a FNAF reference, specifically being an animatronic in Reddy's Red Ball Diner. We love FNAF. We love FNAF. We love FNAF. Skag is a sentient computer who lives on a trolley that's super glued to the floor. And yes, she can run Doom. Split is a bizarre looking combination of a banana, a snail, and a dog. Apparently. She's friends with Poob and likes bananas on pizza. She's also a writer on Splitsville, the aforementioned Wipeout-like game show that also doubles as a unique floor in the game. Also, when researching these characters, I found this amazing line. Split can sing Banana Phone perfectly from memory. If Split had a phone, her ringtone would be Banana Phone. Amazing. Spud is actually named Frank and used to be a camp counselor. Used to be. That was until Narpy kidnapped everyone on his camp, leaving him the only one presumably alive after torturing him for 2 days straight. Now with severe brain damage, Spud is no longer a human. Described as once Robloxian, now Spud. Unpleasant. Ugh. Ew. What the heck is that? Ew, it's so weird looking. Why? Despite being found inside of Casper's apartment, Unpleasant doesn't actually have any affiliation with the infection that caused Casper to become infected. Finally, there's Walter, a rather tall fellow who looks somewhat like the 2004 version of Roblox characters that are debatably real. Walter used to be married to mannequin_Mark, but they had a rough divorce. Other than that, he really just thinks Poob is dumb and likes Radiohead. Okay, where was I? Sorry, I got a little carried away. Oh yeah, the actual game. Hopefully from that little escapade you can begin to understand why I like this game so much. Not to mention the fact that there's, you know, like a whole video game underneath all of this lore.
Actually, that's a huge thing with game devs, and this is something a lot of amateur game devs don't realize. It's scope creep. And scope creep is the phenomenon when you, like, for example, let's say I'm making a game about hide and seek. One player's the tagger and the rest of the players hide. Scope creep starts to come in when you say, okay, let's add different game modes, and then let's add different player abilities, and let's add different seeker abilities. It becomes so much work, and it like becomes a huge project. And by the time you get there and you have all that stuff written down, you think to yourself, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, people will burn themselves out in the planning phase of game development because it's a lot.
That's all the characters for now. Not like the developers are working on a brand new one while I'm writing this video. Alright, what else is there? Oh, right, the soundtrack. Yeah, Regretevator is yet another modern Roblox game with a completely unique soundtrack, this time with over 60 songs in it. Some highlights for me are definitely Jersey Nova, one of the coolest fusions of genres I've heard in a video game, somehow combining old Roblox sound effects with the SpongeBob boot sample. But good, somehow. Long Way to the Top is a trippy liminal track that reminds me of something out of Silent Hill in a way, but because this is Regretevator, it has to have a little bit of breakcore in it. And Left on Hold provides a fitting atmosphere to the room it's found in, leading you on to find out more about this strange and bizarre world. This soundtrack does exactly what all other good soundtracks have done in the past, and that's to provide an amazing atmosphere to a game that is more often than not so incredibly silly. There's so much more to this game, it's insane. Like, it's a fully voice-acted game too. Did I mention that yet?
What is this, dude?
Hey, yo. I'm the owner of this silly emporium, Gregoria, and I would like to welcome you. This building has been here for over 400 years without any silly accidents or happenings, and I hope that your visit to here will be absolutely... Oh no! I'm summoned the flood! Quickly! Find the lighthouse!
Not the flood, dude. Oh, man.
And, you know, especially if there's like a flood rising out of nowhere, I gotta say, hey, hurry up, move. You gotta get to high ground. So I had talked to my friend Marks, and I was like, hey, would you mind reading some lines to clarify how the game works? And he was like, yeah, no, sure, I'd be down. That's where Gregoria came from. Gregoria was actually one of his characters.
With plenty of lines from YouTubers and other noted Roblox community members, and also Daniel Henschel? Like, that Daniel Henschel? Oh, God. Long story short, this game is extremely complex. What I've talked about here is not even like a quarter of what this game has to offer. So I honestly do request that you go and play it. Over 600 unique interactions between characters, tons of different floors, tons of items to buy, and plenty of lore to discover. All you have to do is find it.
If you could give one or two pieces of advice to someone who would want to maybe get into Roblox game dev, but that maybe they're scared of programming, or maybe they're scared of building, or something is holding them back from starting that dream project that they've been working on, what piece of advice would you give those people?
You don't have to do it all on your own. That's something that really bothered me for a while. Especially starting out as a game dev. I wanted to do everything on my own. And there's nothing wrong with that. People can do that. I can do that even. Like, again, I've made full-fledged story games. So you can do that, but as well, don't be afraid to ask for assistance or ask for help or work with friends to be able to put a game together. If you are really, really good at building in studio, right, and you love art and you're a designer, don't feel bad for reaching out to a friend of yours. Be like, hey, do you want to work on this game with me? Just treat it like as a hobby with your friend. And if the game does start doing good and money comes into the factor, pay them correctly.
Personally, I love this game. On top of everything I've already said, it's also fun as hell, so what's not to love? Oh, and because I still have to be that guy, if the developers ever need another voice actor in their game, you know where to find me. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.